So ever since VShojo collapsed under its own weight, starting 4 days ago when Iron Mouse put out her video talking about why she's leaving VShojo, exposing how they had stolen over $500,000 from the Immune Deficiency Foundation, charity money that was supposed to go to them, as well as a lot of money that she was supposed to get paid, which they had not fulfilled those obligations, and a bunch of other members of VShojo had not gotten paid for months, with Kason not being paid since September of 2024, and then every member of the organization leaving. VShojo put out an announcement about a day ago that the company has failed, which means that they will be pursuing Chapter 7 bankruptcy. There is no path for the company to recover, and unfortunately that also means that the talents are very unlikely to get the money back that they have not been paid. But what that also means is that the NDAs are now effectively null and void because VShojo doesn't really exist anymore to enforce them, and Silvervale had a lot to say about how she was treated during her tenure at VShojo. So some people may or may not know about this, but Silvervale, back when Hogwarts Legacy came out, received a lot of heat from activists online who aren't the biggest fan of J.K. Rowling, who is the author of the Harry Potter series. So when she wanted to play this game, she was attacked by a lot of people because in their eyes, the eyes of the terminally online, playing the wizard game was some endorsement of J.K. Rowling and everything that she believed politically. And this is what Silvervale had to say about how her organization VShojo supported their talent when she was getting all that heat for playing Hogwarts Legacy.
I was put into a call with Gunn, the CEO of the company, like someone that I admired and I looked up to and I wanted to please, someone that I thought was the coolest person ever. And he told me that I was a damage to the brand, that I was a disappointment. I was told that me being harassed was an inconvenience to the other talents and not to talk to them. Optics were more important than their own talent's well-being. And I was suspended from streaming. They said it wasn't a suspension because they weren't that kind of agency, but what else do you call being told not to stream? Talent freedom, right?
So much for the progressive option. The agency that operates like a family. They're so nice. They're so amazing. VShojo. They not only provided zero support to Silvervale, who was being viciously attacked online for playing Hogwarts Legacy, but the CEO himself, the man, the myth, the parasite, Gunrun, made a personal call to Silver to let her know that she was being a nuisance by bringing bad PR to the company and that she should take a break. Of course, that break was a suggestion. It's not a mandatory thing, because VShojo isn't that type of company. And suddenly it becomes very clear exactly why VShojo needed all of these NDAs that they had all of the talents under, why they wanted to make sure that talents who left the company were not talking to talents who were still inside of the company. They had to be so aggressive and make sure that the talents were always saying everything's fine and never bad-mouthing the organization so that they could keep up this image when really, under the covers, behind the scenes, they're one of the most vile VTuber agencies you could ever imagine. Silvervale had more to say though.
But whenever anyone was like, oh, I love VShojo so much, it's so cool, they get to keep their IP. Bitch, we own our IP. We started with our IP. Of course we get to own it. It's ours. Why are you celebrating that? Like, oh, bad things happen, but they get to keep what they own. Like, fucking duh. Yes, obviously. And everyone's like, oh my god, I love VShojo. I want to sniff their parts because they get to keep their IP. Wow. Like, fucking obviously, it's not as big of a deal as you're making it. Like, fucking get over yourself. And everyone would always say that, and it's like, what's happening? Oh, like I know, like other companies would own their IP or like make you sell it or whatever, but like that was VShojo's whole thing, is that they were different. And obviously different fucking sucked.
Now, I want to take this opportunity to make the observation that Silvervale has massive melons. But back to the breakdown of what she's saying. Yeah, VShojo had this whole thing where they would try to act like they were holier than thou, because all the big bad agencies like Nijisanji and Hololive, they own the rights to the IP, so therefore when you graduate you have to get a new name and a new model. But the thing about VShojo is, outside of the VShojo Nova girls who literally joined like November of 2024, pretty much all of the members of VShojo entered the company already having their likeness. So it's not as if it would make any sense for them to sign over the rights to their IP to this talent agency. It just became a thing because that's how VShojo formed. It made sense. If you enter the company with your IP, you're not going to sign it over to them so that when you leave, they keep it. That would be a horrendous idea, and obviously I don't think any of them would have agreed to that. So if VShojo didn't have that clause, they wouldn't have a company. It's not as if these people debuted with VShojo. But yeah, I mean, that's one thing that made people think, like from the outside looking in, that it's such a great place to be because there's so much more talent first than other companies, but obviously that couldn't be further from the truth. Silvervale would also talk about exactly how it was when she left VShojo due to dissatisfaction with the contract and her treatment.
And when we left, they of course discredited us to the staff and the other members as soon as we left. Like, they painted us as troublemakers and problem people, that we were greedy and asked for more money. There's like so many horrible things just to avoid the truth that they were stealing from us. And they intentionally announced Vei and I leaving at the same time, so it looked like we left together, even though Nyan wanted to leave at the same time. And they refused to let her leave at the same time because they wanted it to look better for them. Like, it's not like we were all jumping ship at the same time. They literally held her hostage so it would look better for them. And they advised the talents to stop associating with us.
So this is Silvervale confirming what Vebe has also said, which is that VShojo would advise talents not to talk to members who had left the organization, and they prevented those talents from talking about why they left, advising other members to leave, and anything like that through NDAs and threatening lawsuits. And whenever somebody did leave, they wanted to paint them as greedy, doing it for money, being troublemakers, so actually it was the company getting rid of them. All of these manipulation tactics in order to keep control over the girls. VShojo was never some nice and benevolent company filled with great people in management. It was always a predatory, terrible company, seemingly one of the worst ever in the VTuber space, and all they cared about was controlling their talents and extracting as much money from them as they possibly could. And when the talents didn't like that, or they wanted too much of their own revenue splits in their contract, and they decided to leave the company, VShojo would go as far as making sure that not too many people left at the same time for the optics, and bad-mouthing people who left the company to try to seem like they left for unsavory reasons like being greedy and abandoning their friends so that they could make more money. And of course, due to NDAs, they couldn't really say anything against those claims by VShojo, at the threat of lawsuits.
I later found out that they'd been slandering me to musicians and artists that I had worked with through VShojo, and slandering me to companies and ruin potential business partnerships that I was really, really excited for some of my like dream collabs that were gonna happen. And like, staff was known to AstroTurf everywhere. Like, they even run some of the really large VTuber clip channels. Like they were everywhere. And they had their hand in every pie.
So after members left, they would run around bad-mouthing them and going on to attempt to sabotage the careers of those ex-members, while also making sure that they couldn't communicate any of their grievances with people who were still members of the organization, as well as not exposing online any of the problems that they had with the agency, which is really the only reason why nobody spoke out. After all of these revelations, it is really good to see VShojo fail, to crash and burn. Not for all of the girls who were obviously negatively affected and all of the money that they lost and everything like that, but to see a VTuber agency which is clearly so terrible, soulless while pretending to be benevolent. I think any business that operates with this level of maliciousness, it is absolutely a good thing to see them fail, crash and burn the way that VShojo has. And I'm sure that there will be more information of exactly what was wrong with VShojo and everything that they were doing from other members as they realize that they don't really have to worry so much about the NDAs. But from everything that's come out so far, it was a company absolutely blowing through money, wasting all of their investment, spending money on things that did not actually grow the talents, siphoning as much money as they possibly could from the talents, and then when they got themselves into debt, even resorting to stealing charity funds. Terrible company with terrible management. mistreatment, and they betrayed the trust of not only all of their talents, who they owe debts to, but also to all of the fans. And this doesn't amount to just a PR disaster. There were a lot of crimes committed here, and I hope that all of those involved are brought to justice. So that's all I have for this update. If you found it useful, then be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Also join the community Discord, link in the description below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.